This is going to be about kind of this taking into account the project structure if you're going to have a web app. And hopefully I won't get sidetracked in a bunch of other stuff. But basically, we're going to go with the same diagram. We have feature packages, and then we somehow want to build a web app. And in our case, we're going to, the packaging that's easiest is to do basically, the Flutter create web app, blah, 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 blah. And that's not the right syntax. But basically, we have this notion of features that can't be, they're deployed inside of other things like a module or inside of a website or inside of and then you have an app project too. And the app project actually handles the packaging for any of the platforms. Now, if you're doing web, you'll have like a web directory, a Linux directory, an iOS standalone test jig directory, those kinds of things. The web app, it starts with an index.html. It's actually kind of like a lot of things you do with Flutter, where they're basically just an embedded standalone app that happens to be inside in a viewport or in an overlay on top of something else. So primarily, you'll end up with a single index.html that it gets generated, and then when you launch it inside of an HTML element or inside of iframe, that gets run. The problem comes in, sometimes we also want to be able to do a test jig for this web app where we can run it locally, not in the scope of some other large app. And we may end up needing a little bit of setup. Maybe some messages get sent that tell you how to spin up or what environment you're in, or maybe they tell you like the person's ID number or something else. And so I've seen cases where we actually end up with two index.htmls. And the normal generated one that we would put it inside of a regular app, take that, put it in an element or in an iframe. And the other one is kind of standalone, and it's got some extra setup that fakes being that parent app. And so in that case, you end up with two index.htmls. And I'm out of time, but